OceanGate's deep-sea submersible, the Titan, has some unusual features. Its hull, the part where the passengers sit, is made from carbon fibre with titanium caps at each end. Carbon fibre is used in aeroplanes and yachts, but not for deep-sea vessels. It's extremely strong, but questions have been raised about its reliability under extreme pressures. The shape of the sub is also different. Most have spherical hulls, so there's the same pressure all the way around. But the Titan is tube-shaped. This is so it can fit 5 people inside, but it means the pressure isn't equally distributed. In 2018, safety issues were raised by an employee of OceanGate, David Lockridge, an experienced submersible pilot. In American court documents, he said the structural integrity of the Titan had not been properly tested, and this could subject passengers to potential extreme danger in an experimental submersible. Concerns were also raised by engineers from the Marine Technology Society over the experimental approach adopted by OceanGate that could result in negative outcomes from minor to catastrophic. An OceanGate spokesman told us they couldn't provide any information at this time. Experts have said this incident should lead to changes.
It's a wake-up call for us, and that's why I think a really thorough, rigorous investigation should be done and shared with the community, and lessons will be learned. And whichever side of the fence you are on in terms of sub-design, you will learn something from this.
Subs that carry passengers can go through independent safety assessments by specialist organisations, but the Titan was not certified by any external agency. In a blog post in 2019, the company said its design fell outside the accepted system, and that simply focusing on classing the vessel does not address the operational risks. So is this unusual? Any sub that dives 4,000 metres or beyond is a one-off vehicle, but it doesn't mean it can't be independently classified. This sub, called the Limited Factor, has repeatedly been to the deepest place in the oceans, the Mariana Trench, nearly 11 kilometres down. Nothing is more unique or cutting edge, but the team behind it worked with assessors, and the Limiting Factor has full certification. No one knows what's happened to the Titan, but it may be a turning point for how this industry is regulated.
Still so many mysteries on our planet, and you can only marvel really at the skills of those who are involved in the rescue effort. But when you hear of a search area twice the size of the US state of Connecticut, I mean, it's not quite needle in a haystack, but it's not far off. And I think this idea of people trapped in a small space somewhere remote is kind of something that plays into a lot of our deepest fears. And it reminds me a bit of the Chilean mine collapse back in 2010, when, if you remember, more than 30 miners were eventually brought out from underground more than 2 months after the collapse took place, which was really seen as something of a miracle. Of course, the big difference this time is the lack of available oxygen, which makes the race against time so much more acute. It is pretty horrific, and you know, one can only imagine what it must be like if, we hope they are still alive, trapped inside the submersible. And of course, as we heard, it's not just about finding the vessel, it's about how you bring it up from, you know, up to 4,000 meters below the surface. So it's an incredibly intricate and difficult operation. And people are interested in this, and they're sort of fascinated by it. I think it's worth saying though, and I know I'm not the first person to say this, but it's worth emphasizing the amount of attention being paid to the rescue attempt for the submarine, and we obviously all fervently hope that it will succeed. It seems to me in pretty stark contrast to the lack of attention that was paid to the migrant ship that capsized off Greece, when hundreds of people are still missing. And you know, there are people who set out to sea in the most extraordinary of circumstances and get very little help. So we hope this rescue succeeds, and as I said, that the ability of the people coordinating the search and rescue is just something you have to sit back and admire, but we know that they are in a real race against time. I suppose this is a one-off. It's something slightly unique.